Now, let's see if I have audio and video here. Let's see. Is it happening? Still waiting. Come on, YouTube. All right. Audio, video? Yes, it is. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Here I am. Oh, Captain, my Captain. That's me. So that was that poem originally was about Lincoln, right? I'm no Lincoln. All right. So wow, it's Thursday morning. I have a lovely cup of tea here that's cooling down. I'll give it a moment. 3 people are here. Hello, 3 people. Hi. Hello. It's good to see you. Another Q&A live from Jerusalem. I'm on barely any sleep, so if I ramble, if I rant, or if I rave more than usual, feel free to let me know in the chat. If I can, do anything about it, I will. Until then, let's dive right in. So I hosted a quick AMA yesterday on Reddit. So let's read a few questions from there. Sunnydale96 asked, does your hair get on your nerves or in your way? I'm female and I almost never let my hair get to my shoulders before I chop again. Do you keep it braided or loose? So I answered, basically the hair grows wild, as it says in the book of Numbers, right? Gadel pera se'arosho. The Nazarite man or woman are supposed to just let their hair do its thing. We're allowed to separate with our fingers, right? Fingertips, fingers, but not with any tools. So I don't brush, I don't comb. I suppose it's loose, it's very, very loose. It's the loosest of hairs. And it does get in the way sometimes, but that's why I always have a hair tie on me, of some form or another, in case I need to tie it quickly. And I can also use one of the dreads to tie it up in a knot, or, make it into a bun, or put it in a ponytail, whatever it may be. So that's how I deal with that. GH88PNW said, never heard of the Nazarite vow, but kudos to you for your commitment to your faith. What was happening in your life 15 years ago when you took that vow? So basically, I explained, I grew up Orthodox in Jerusalem, and in my mid-20s, I started to feel a difference, like a grave disalignment, right? Something just didn't add up between the doctrine and what was put into practice. This is not to say that halacha did not reflect the faith or the doctrine, but I saw things there that didn't align with the values that there was certain values that I had. In other ways, obviously, it does align very, very well. And so that's why I decided to take a step back from strict rabbinic law, a step back from mainstream Orthodox organized religion, and do my own thing. And like I say every time, it wasn't a whim. I took my time. I wanted to make sure that I'm not simply shirking my responsibility, that I'm not simply unburdening myself of the yoke of Torah and commandments in some way under the guise of being more spiritual or doing something higher, right? I didn't want any of that. I wanted it to be a true reflection of who I was. So after a few years of soul searching, I did indeed take my vow. Hey, James Osiris says, "Arr, give your shekels, matey." I don't think so. My booty is mine own, and for my crewmates, of course. Who else is kirking their little Charlie right now? Says Ben Bob Sun Fondue. I've never had fondue, right? So proper fondue is with cheese, and other fondue is with chocolate. I don't think I've had either. But all right, do you like hamburgers? Well, I'm vegan, but I do enjoy a good vegan burger every now and then. They differ in their quality. It depends if you grill it, it depends if you cook it, it depends if you fry it, it depends if you just heat it up in the oven or a toaster. But yes, I am a fan of hamburgers. Oh, so very ordinary. Well, aren't we all ordinary in our own way? Says Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Lone Star. Hey, Lone Star. Good. I hope to see you in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. Are you crazy? Well, Seal, right? We're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy. So yes, I am a little crazy. A pirate hoarding gold, says K4LT. Well, I'm no dragon, but I do indeed hoard my gold. My gold is right here on my finger. That is where I hoard it. Joe's Caribbean van life. Is it indeed a van life? How long have you been living the van life? Jack Sparrowstein. That's me. I prefer the African-style fondue. What is African-style fondue? How about ice cream? So, very ordinary. I do enjoy ice cream, but once again, being vegan, I only partake of vegan ice cream, which is not truly ice cream since there is no cream really involved. Not dairy cream, anyway. But yes, I am. Why are you vegan if Hashem approves meat? Be Kind family asks. Because my hi Be Kind family, good to see you again. Because I choose to go in the more Edenic path, right? The more Edenic route. And in Eden, we were all vegan, which is why I thought to myself that the veganism is the way to go. Also because the Samson Nazarite vow allows one to be defiled by death, right? By corpses, human death. And I still wanted, the Nazariteship for me is about sanctifying life. And I decided to go, if I'm not going to be defiled by corpses, I want to take the other way. Instead of abstaining from defilement of death, I would do something to sanctify life. And at that point, I went from vegetarian to vegan. Love the dreads, dude. Billy May says, hey, thanks, man. It's just hair. You know, it grows and it dies and it's just hair. But I appreciate it nonetheless. Rebecca says, that's the hat Judge Reinhold wore in Fast Times at Richmond High. You know, I saw that movie, I think, years and years ago. I haven't even seen it since, and I don't even remember what the deal with that movie is, but it is a highly quotable one, and many references and pop culture, is steeped in it. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea, asks Nero. So I think it's SpongeBob, but I've never seen SpongeBob. That sort of wasn't for my age. I was a bit older when it came out, and I've gathered that it was the people who did Ren and Stimpy who also did, the animators or the writers, I don't recall, I'm ignorant, but I think it was them, right? Them, who also did SpongeBob. Hello, sir, says Diddy Combs 420. Yo, 420, are you blazing right now? More Yiddish slang and accent, please. It makes me happy on the inside, says Corn Dog. Well, you want me to talk Yiddish? No, we'll have some verbringen, and, with the accent, and it'll be okay, it'll be all right, Vegan, that explains a lot, says Diesel. Yeah, it explains quite a few things about the way that I live my life. Coconut ice cream, exactly. It's not, coconut, I'm more of a fan of the almond ice cream, but yeah, it's also very, very good. Definitely. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, she'akol nihye b'dvaro. Got a slurp there, still a bit too hot, I'll let it settle. You tricked me with the pirate hat. Well, I don't mean to trick anybody, though I am a cunning little pirate, I'll give you that. Allah, says name a chef. Name a chef. I don't know many. Boyardee, Ramsay, I don't know many chefs. The local ones, Eyal Shani is a good one I hear. Why do you say in Eden, Adam and Eve were vegan, the wall socket asks? Because that is what it literally says, that God gave them the fruit, right, and the herbs in order to sustain themselves, and meat was only allowed after we left the ark, if you look at it that way. Now, many people say, no, we were born meat-eating, created meat-eaters and all that. I do believe that humankind has always consumed meat, but there was a point in the Edenic sense that we were all vegan, animals included. Now, you may say that's me looking into it and twisting and perverting the verses, possibly, but that's what I got from the story of Genesis, and that's why I say that it was vegan. Yes, indeed. The pirate from Nazareth. No, I'm not Nazareth. Nazarene is from Nazareth. Nazarite is somebody who has taken on a Nazarite vow. What a Jew you are! Jew, says Ve Victe. Oh, wait, something happened? No? Okay, we're good. Yes, indeed, I am a Jew of Judea, but I'm not of the tribe of Judah. But yes, definitely a Jew. Coconut milk ice cream. Right, see, this guy needs a haircut with a viciousness, says Morpheus 1. Well, Morpheus, what if I told you that I hope to go to my grave under this vow, which means that the hair will just grow? It's just what it does. It just grows like that. Massive nose. That's right, I've got a Jewish schnoz. That's right. Genetics are all for the schnoz in my family. SpongeBob Jewish. Is he Jewish? I actually don't know. Look at your phenotype. So phenotype is what? The facial features that have to do with a certain type. Someone told me that recently, and I'm like, okay, good, I learned a new word. And they thought I was being passive-aggressive, but they literally did teach me a new word. Okay, you're a Jew, you have to look up the song by The Bruise by NOFX, says Rebecca. Okay, hang on a second. I'll just copy that so I'll have it for later. Boom, there, okay. We'll keep going in the chat. I live on the small island of Trinidad in the Caribbean. I don't know any Jewish people, says Colin. Now, is it Trinidad and Tobago, right? That's the name of the place technically. But I know that there are two separate places joined in one state or country. Salty Boy Productions. What do you produce, Salty Boy? Do you produce salty snacks? Shout out to the Jews. Without them, I couldn't have such delights as a gefilte fish. I see, even when I was eating fish, I never was a fan of gefilte fish. Now, you could make the argument, no, Jonathan, you never had a proper gefilte fish. All you tasted was like canned gefilte fish, which is true. I didn't like it. Even back when eating fish, I did not like it. I liked different sorts of fish, but not gefilte. No. But to those who like gefilte fish, more power to you. Are you a Messianic Jew? No, I am not. I do not follow Jesus. He's not my Messiah. He's not my God. TCB says, love you unconditionally, beautiful soul. Thanks, TCB. I appreciate the love. Positive vibes are always welcomed. Right back at you. How much gold do you have? Well, only on my finger is a ring of gold, and I used to have a gold earring. I don't have it anymore. I took it out years ago. What you said there is quite accurate about Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, cool. He's a devil! Yes, I am. Ah! I am indeed a devil. I am indeed an adversary. It's way too late, go to bed. Well, it's 10:26 a.m. here in Jerusalem, and I have been on and off awake for a very long time. But no, I'm not going to bed yet. Are you a real pirate? No, I'm not a real pirate. I wear the hat just for entertainment's sake. Is it true y'all walk around and collect pennies, says our Vicia 916. Well, I can't speak for all of us. I'm sure some of us do walk around collecting pennies or shekels or agorot, which is the penny to the shekel, but not me. Though I won't knock, I won't knock a half a shekel or higher if I see it on the ground. That I'll definitely pick that up. Carlos says, I ate Jewish food for the first time and it was the best meal I've ever had. Well, what kind of Jewish food was it? There's so many different Jews from so many different locations, traditions, and walks of life. You can't just say Jewish food. Was it the Eastern? Was it the Western? Was it the Arabic, let's say? You really in Jerusalem? Yes, I am, and it's a beautiful day here in Jerusalem. Sun is shining. It's a little bit cold. It is January. But yes, I am indeed in Jerusalem. JKY asks, have you read religious books? If so, any outside of the Jewish faith? Well, I mean, I read the New Testament once at the behest of many, many Christians and Messianics and followers of Jesus. And outside of that, I mean, if you consider the Tao Te Ching to be a religious book, it's not quite religious because the Tao is not a religion per se. Also, what else did I read? I read parts of the Vedas, right? The Hindu Vedas, which I really, really enjoyed. Other than that, I'd have to think about it, but nothing off the top of my head, no. There was an awakening going on, says Chrissy. There has been an awakening. Have you felt it? Man, that was a disappointment. I walked into The Force Awakens with such all of the sequels and the prequels. I walked into them with such a good vibe of let's go, let's do this. But the sequels, number 8 and 9, right? The Last Jedi and the other one. I was like, no, dude, I'm going because it's Star Wars, but no. Free Palestine, I agree. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from religious oppression. Free Palestine. Free the Gazans from their corrupt leadership who will not make peace and uses their own population as fodder. Thank you, Samanza. Thank you, Chrissy, for supporting Israel in their and the IDF in their war against terrorism and against Hamas. It's so nice and so refreshing to see so many people who are supporting Israel. I don't give an F about Palestine or Israel. Hey, that's your prerogative. Many people say I have nothing to do with it. Zero to do with me. I have no opinion. Let them all kill each other as far as I'm concerned. Religion is awful. Look at what it all brought to the world. And I'm all good with that. If you're not from around here, I mean, you could care, you could not care. People say you should care morally, you should take a stance. No, I'm like, you know what? You can do whatever you want. Seriously, do whatever you want. Can you teach numerology, says Rick? Rickadal covers 2311. No, I'm not a fan of numerologies. There is the Jewish numerology, if you will, of Gematria, which is the Hebrew letters and their numerical values, 12 or so different ways of deriving numerology from the Hebrew letters. And I've studied it, but I certainly don't teach it, so unfortunately I cannot. I will only say regarding Gematria what I always say, quoting our sages in the Ethics of Our Fathers in the Mishnah, that Gematria, right, the numerology of the Hebrew faith, should be like in addition to a meal, but not the main course. Right? It can come before it in order to smooth the transition into a teaching. It can come in the end to wrap a teaching together and give it some extra spice, but not as a teaching in and of itself. Not that's just for me. Other people can have their entree be numerology, and I'm fine with that. But no, I'm not a fan of taking numerology and making it the main course. Very Ordinary says, vegan diet sweets, how to make pie without butter. Well, there are different ways of replacing butter, of replacing eggs, and nothing truly. Look, if you want something that really comes close, you'll need to have a private chef who will, make it right. Industrial sorts of things, you can pretty much always taste that it's vegan, that it's not dairy, that it has no eggs. And I'm fine with that. As far as I'm concerned, vegan food, vegan sweets, they don't need to imitate the dairy or the butter or anything else, right? Or the eggs. It's like if they manage to do it, more power to them, and it makes it all the tastier. But no, I don't think that it truly can be done for me. But if I actually did taste like a proper cook or chef that made something from scratch right there, and fresh produce and very fresh ingredients and all that, maybe I would taste it and say, "Dang, I can't tell the difference." Are you allowed to comment on the Jewish government compared to the people? Well, I don't know, but I'm not a fan of the government. I think it needs to change fast. I haven't voted in about 20 years, and I will vote in the next election simply to get something else, some new blood into the system, because it can't go on like this. Netanyahu did good things, Netanyahu does bad things, but he needs to go. He's been in power long enough. And I don't even know what the alternative might be. I have not read the different platforms of the different people who are going to be running and the different parties. Parties are all about division. The Hebrew word for a political party is called a miflaga. The root is pei lamed gimel, peleg, which means sort of a branch, but it's not even a branch. It's more, it speaks of division, and I'm not a man of division. I seek unity. I seek to build, bridges and have some common ground, and it tickles me the wrong way, let's put it that way. Opinions on restoration of the breach, aka Yira'ari. So I had a dialogue with Yira'ari about a month ago. You can check it out on my channel. Opinions, he's very knowledgeable, and he's very much into the practical Kabbalah Ma'asit, and I stay the heck away from Kabbalah Ma'asit. I believe that Kabbalah should be something that you study intellectually and have it be much like Hasidism did, right? The modern day Hasidism and previous Hasidism. To have it be a part of your life, right? And to inject it into your life. The way he does it, though, doesn't speak to me personally, though I do understand where he's coming from. He is seeking to reveal the secrets, and he is indeed doing that. He is revealing many secrets. In some things I see as a Hebrew speaker that he might be kind of, it's not precisely what it says, not the Aramaic or the Hebrew. He makes a few leaps, in my opinion, but he knows more than me. So far be it for me to judge. I have no idea then. No opinion. I think he's very knowledgeable, and if he is indeed the Messiah, which some of his followers say that he is, then let him be revealed, and the people can accept him and anoint him and crown him, and we will have a king of Israel once again. But if he is not, it could, as many cases shown in the past, it could cause another breach in the Hebrew people, which would be a shame. So I have no opinion this way or another. I'm waiting. You know what I'm saying? I'm waiting, and we'll see. The hate will get so bad you will have to hide. Well, many people who are Jews in the diaspora feel they already need to hide, right? The different signs that they're Jewish and the different external symbols of Judaism and whatnot, whether it's a kippah, right, the head covering, or their Star of David on a chain or whatever it is, and which is a shame. But that's the way that it goes. If you're living among the nations, then you're living among the nations. And if the tide is turning once again towards Hebrew hatred, or hatred of the Hebrews, then maybe they feel they need to hide. In Israel, thankfully, you don't need to hide. It's the land of Jewish people. Primarily, we are the majority. People say not for long. Fair enough. Whatever will be, will be. But right now, it's the land of the Jews. Not only of the Jews, mind you. Other people are here. They're welcome to live here. They're welcome to be here. And we should have peace with our brothers and cousins. That's what I'm thinking. Sneezer says, hey, hi Sneezer, good to see you. I got approved to publish on stream today. Hey, good for you. Very good for you. I hope that it's of benefit and of value to those who will be watching and observing and listening and taking it in. As I've said before, calling us the nations. Well, the nations being that there's the Israelite nation and the other nations. It's the proper way to think about it. The people who are not Israel. A lot of people who hate Jews may hate other people, but if it comes to Jew hatred, then there's a separation right then and there, baked right into the term. Now, anti-Semitic does not mean hatred of Jews, it's what it's become. It means hatred of Semites or Semites, and not only the Jews come from Shem, right, son of Noah, many other people come from Shem, but nowadays mainstream anti-Semitism means Jew hatred. So that's what it is. Okay. When you say peaceful, do you mean passive-aggressive? What do you mean, Max? I'm not sure what you mean. When I say peaceful, I mean peaceful. just straight up peaceful with no double entendre or any kind of hidden meaning and no passive aggression on my end. So I don't know. Salam alaikum, Mr. Adonia. Wa alaikum salam. Kif halak? And marhaba to you all. Hello, hello. Sir, says Colin, it is very impressive that you are so knowledgeable. You are learned and wise. Wrong on both counts. I am not a learned man, I'm not a wise man, and not an educated man. I'm not an academic, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a sage, I'm not a rabbi, I'm not, I just spit my opinion, and I'm willing to admit ignorance, and I do so many a time. There's more of what I don't know than what I do know, and I seek to learn, which is also why I love being with you people here, because I get to learn new things. Semite means descendant of Shem. It's a silly notion, says mass absurdity. Well, absurdity? Yes. Yeah, I mean, look, what do you mean it's a silly notion? People trace their roots back to this, that, or the other and make all kinds of assumptions and preconceived notions, and they make all kinds of decisions based on who they are and where they come from. And fair enough, the question is, to what end, right? To what end? Because I focus on the here and now more than anything. I focus on the here and now, and as always, for me, the question goes back to, and now what? Now what? What are we doing now? That's what I'm saying. But I appreciate it, Colin. The trolls are noise. You are a single. Sorry, the chat just jumped, so I don't know where I was. Why so much hate in the name of Jesus? He was a rabbi and a carpenter who preached love. Yes, I'm of the same opinion. And I definitely say that if I was around at the time, there's a very good chance I would have followed him myself. I would have been happy to call him rabbi, to call him master. He seems to be a very humble and righteous fellow, but he's a dead man. That's all he is to me right now, not a god nor son of God. We're all sons and daughters of God, made in God's image, and he is no different. Imagine thinking I worship your Jew on a stick Psypop. Jew on a stick? What is that? Is that a candy bar? It should be a candy bar. Okay, wait. Ret Sumnell Coco Cock. Says, I know you see this. I see it now. The chat is very, very rapidly moving. I can't see everything. I only have 2 eyes. Arr! I know you see this. Stop ignoring. Read Isaiah 53, Isaiah 53, Isaiah 53, Isaiah 53, Isaiah 53, and so on and so forth. So yes, Isaiah 53. Many people, Christians, followers of Jesus, Messianic Jews, say that it is a hidden chapter in the Bible that the rabbis, the sages who canonized the Hebrew Bible didn't want it there, which I say is bunk and bollocks, if you will, because it actually did make it to the Bible, and they left things out and they kept certain things in, and what they kept in was something that ought to be kept for generations to come, hence why they canonized it in the Hebrew Bible. I've read Isaiah 53 many times, all the different verses in context and out of context. It does not speak of any of any archetype of one person named Jesus. It speaks of individual, it speaks of the people, it speaks of suffering. So if you want to see Jesus there, obviously you'll see Jesus there. People who follow Jesus and call him God see Jesus in the entire Hebrew Bible, even though he is not named. And fair enough, many things are not named and you can still derive wisdom from them. Faith I do not derive from the Christian faith. Faith I do not derive from the Messianic Judaism, but I can derive wisdom. And that's what I try to do. However, no, Isaiah 53 is not speaking about Jesus as far as I'm concerned, but obviously people who follow Jesus will see Jesus everywhere, and fair enough, because he's their God, or he is their Messiah, he is their Savior and their Lord, and somebody who they look up to. They said he was around before creation, he is creation, he's part of God, and so I'm going to say, okay, obviously you'll see him everywhere, even though he's not named there even once. So, okay. Can you close a Nazarite vow without an altar? Brandon asks. No, you may not, which is why people who take the Nazarite vow now, even if it's for 30 days, which is the minimal requirement for a Nazarite vow, their vow continues until there is an altar and a temple standing, right? And the priesthood, which is ritually clean, to bring the offerings, make the sacrifices, cut the hair, and drink the wine, and go through the entire process. So people who take it now for a set period of time must stay Nazarites until there is an altar. In the book of Maccabees, the Nazarites are mentioned in the beginning of the book, before the temple was reconquered and retaken and purified by the Maccabees, right, by the Hashmonite dynasty that later became the Hashmonite dynasty. And it's said that they were fasting and they brought Nazarites who had fulfilled their time but could not fulfill the vow completely, and they were also there. Unironically love the hair. Sorry for the anti-Semitism, says Known. Hey, it's all good. People are going to be anti-Semitic. It's the way of the world. I hope that we can all make peace. I hope that we can all live in love and harmony and unity and all that good stuff. But people hate Jews. It's baked right into certain cultures and certain faiths. People can say it's the Jews' fault. People can say it's simply always been that way. People are going to think whatever they want to think. And as soon as you show any type of Yiddishkeit or Judaism or Hebrew, symbolism or whatever, immediately people will come at you with all kinds of accusations and hate and evil and malice. And to that I go, okay, trolls and haters, they just make the algorithm love me more. So I'm on board with that. Once they get violent, physically violent, I'm all for free speech, but once they get physically violent, that's where I draw the line. We should not be violent towards each other simply based on what we believe. And Joshua did this when they conquered the Holy Land from the 7 nations. That was the war of conquest of the land of Israel, what became the land of Israel, right? It was the land of Canaan. And that was the only time when we said, right, when we were commanded to eradicate nations. The only other nation which we are still commanded to eradicate is Amalek, but no one knows who Amalek is nowadays. People are called that, but they don't know actually technically who is Amalek, so that probably not may come to pass. Also, it says that we need to eradicate Amalek from under the heavens in the Torah, meaning that at a place spiritually above the heavens, Amalek and Israel are one. At the root, there is no duality, there is no good and evil in the root. There is no right and wrong, there is no left and right. There is no up and down. Let's see. So yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, man. I do. I love my hair as well, but it's just hair. It just grows like that. I just let it do its thing. It's organic, natural, Nazarite dreads. That's all that it is. Bro looks like the pirate from SpongeBob, says the mystery detective kid. Ooh, detective kid, have you solved any mysteries? I'd love to know. Duality is an illusion. See, it's not quite an illusion. It depends on what plane of consciousness or reality you're talking about. All of them do exist simultaneously. So we have one holiday, right, called Purim, a rabbinic holiday that is not mentioned in the 5 books of Moses, but is mentioned in the Bible, in the scroll of Esther. Part of that idea of Purim is getting to a place called Ad de lo Yada, a place that is unknown. It's a place that's at the root where Haman the wicked and Mordechai the righteous are both one. And it's said that a person should be inebriated, intoxicated, or otherwise, groovy to such a degree that they cannot differentiate between the righteousness of Mordechai and the wickedness of Haman. And that speaks volumes, right, about the nature of the holiday and about what it is that we are supposed to arrive at through that holiday. But yes, at the root, it's all one. However, when you go down here to the physical world of good and evil, a world that is the world we were cast into, Eden we were cast out of, this world we were thrown into, and here it's a world of duality, of knowledge of good and evil. And Sefer Yetzirah famously says that good discerns evil and evil discerns good. Knowing one helps you to know the other. And this is not to say that you should act in evil ways in order to know the good, but simply observe the world, observe creation, observe the laws of nature, observe what goes on in the Torah and the Bible. You see evil everywhere, and from that you can derive that if there is evil, there is also good. And if you, quoting Rabbi Nachman there, if you believe you can make things wrong, believe you can make things right. That's what I go with, that's what I go with. And people have said, why does evil exist? God is not doing anything about it. It's been likened to parents, right? At some point, if you have a kid, you know that you need to let go. You need to let kids make mistakes. You need to let them do certain things in order to experience certain things and learn from them. Certain things are only learned on the flesh, right? And certain things you don't need to learn. Certain things, if your boy or girl is about to cross the street into heavy traffic, you'll grab them, you'll yell, you'll do something extreme to stop them from being run over. And they might protest and they'll kick and scream and yell and throw a tantrum, but you know that you did the right thing. In other cases, no. If you see them that they're starting to walk somewhere, like in the house, and you know that they're going to fall, but you need to let them fall sometimes in order to let them get back up and learn how to balance themselves. In the very same way, evil is allowed to prosper so we can make the right choices. And you could say, no, that's a bunch of crap, and a real, true loving God would not let it happen, but God and love are all revelations of the Most High, and there is also a revelation... Oops, sorry, I gotta mute this. It's a revelation of evil that is here for a purpose, to give us free will, to give us the option of choice. People can say choice in and of itself is also an illusion. And there's a lot to say about that. But yeah, there is some place where duality is an illusion. It's true. At the root, we are all one. Damn, streaming from the occupation, says Gurmer. Well, you can't be an occupier in your own land, so we are not occupiers. We came back here to our ancestral land. There has always been a Jewish presence here in the land of Israel. Sometimes we were the majority, sometimes we were the minority, but definitely there has always been, throughout all the exiles, a Jewish presence in the land of Judah, of Judea, the land of Israel, right before the kingdom split, before the 10 tribes were cast out by Assyria. Favorite Ninja Turtle and why? Well, I will go with Michelangelo, Mila. I will go with Michelangelo because I dig the nunchucks, I dig the goofiness, and I connect with him in some ways, more than others. Chat, should I dox him and steal his pennies like a leprechaun, says William Bunn. Okay, if you want to dox me, I suppose you could dox me. As for stealing my pennies, how are you going to go about that? Because I have shekels, not pennies. You see how that could be difficult to achieve? I think what you need to do is, you need to go to the bank or a money exchange, take all of my shekels, convert them to dollars or euro or wherever you are, and that's, taxes, and that's a commission, and it's a whole thing. Maybe you don't want to do that. Yar! Matthew. Hey, Matthew, good to see you again. Is your workplace more secular or religious? I think it's more secular. But it is in some ways religious. We have religious people working for us, and we do have, we do have prayers that go on in the office. Do ye feel like ye stand out for your unique beliefs? Yar! No, my beliefs are not that unique. I think a lot of people share my beliefs. Maybe they don't speak of them, they don't broadcast them like I am here on YouTube. I think a lot of people share my desire for peace. I think a lot of people share my desire for harmony, for building bridges, and for finding common ground, so they're not that unique. If I do stand out, it's only externally, and people make all kinds of assumptions about the way that I look because of how I look, and I'm fine with that. People are going to judge. What did God tell Samuel? That mankind, the human being, right, looks on the outside, and God looks on the inside. Do you think God promised the land to the Jews, says Simon Spunk Lover. Spunk or Spunky? Sprunky, not Spunk, my mistake. Sprunky Lover. The land was promised to the Jews if the Jews actually fulfill their task and carry out the Jewish covenant. And it was promised to them, let's say, so long as they do their job. And if they don't do their job, this is written in Torah, black on white, they will be kicked out, and eventually they will come back. And if they mess up again, they will be kicked out again, and again, and again, until they learn what their job is and how they are supposed to carry it out and actually make it work and do their job. So it was promised, but much like it was promised to the other nations, meaning not in a pejorative way, just other nations. If the Jews don't do their job, other nations take your country. That's what it says in the Torah, and that's what has happened time and time again. It might even happen again now, here. I hope not, but that's the case. That's what the Torah says, and that's what it has happened. So the land was promised to those who will keep that covenant. And if the Jews don't keep the covenant, it will be taken away. But God, the land belongs to God. The creation belongs to the Creator. That's the way it goes. Amalek owns you. Well, seeing as how I don't know who Amalek is, and we are a sovereignty here in Israel right now, I'm inclined to disagree with your assertion there, Victe. I do appreciate your engagement here in the chat. You will be destroyed and shamed for eternity, says Chucky Buckerson. Likely, possibly, but maybe if I'm able to, get over my ego, my pride, my arrogance, my vanity, I will be able to live my life in such a way where the tables will turn and I'll be able to tilt myself, right, towards the good. And then I will not be destroyed or shamed for eternity. As for the people of Israel, like I said, we need to do our job. We might very well be destroyed, but the Torah says that even when we are destroyed, there will always be a Jewish presence. Because even if we break the covenant is not broken. The covenant between God and Israel is everlasting to the degree that things can last everly in this world. And so even if we turn away from the covenant and turn away from God, and there's pestilence, and there's enemies, and we're kicked out, and exile, and destruction, and woe, and tragedy, and all that, we will still be coming back here. That is the way. This is the way. So yes, parts of us will be destroyed. Parts of us definitely will be shamed. If you read the book of Lamentations, Jeremiah the prophet speaks all of these things, right? And the temple was destroyed twice. The people of Israel have been destroyed several times and persecuted throughout all the exile and in the other nations and on other lands and sold into slavery and all the pogroms and in the holocausts and whatnot. And yet we are still here. We make it work. Somehow we make it work. And I believe that if we get our act together collectively as a nation, as a people, we will be able to once again cleave to that covenant, make it our own, and live up to the agreement between us and God. Dude, you're gay! Oh, I'm sorry, the chat just jumped. I don't know who said it. Okay, but yes, I'm definitely gay, I'm lesbian, I'm trans, I'm non-binary, I'm all the spectrum of sexuality, and I present myself in this way, but oh, Lord knows, I can present myself in many other ways. This is simply how I'm presenting right now. That's how I see it. I'm a spectrum. Do one GDO, Mama Tzavya Gever. How you doing, man? He says. She'ela zriza, quick question. Ma da'atcha al goyim b'medinatenu. What do you think of the nations and our country? I think that people are here to live and, just provide for their families and for themselves. If they do so peacefully, if they do so honorably, if they do so in a non-violent sort of way, by all means, people are welcome. Should it come to pass that there's, the Sanhedrin is reinstated and the kingdom is reinstated and the temple is built, we will already be in such a place where I can't even tell what would happen. But then, in that case, the people who are of the foreign nations who worship foreign gods or who worship the Hebrew God in foreign ways will have to forsake their gods and the foreign worship and undertake, right, and be residents here, righteous residents, what's called a ger toshav. They don't have to be Hebrews, but they do have to follow the one Hebrew God in the land. However, that's not the case now. People are free, right? Christians and Rastas and Muslims and Baha'is and everyone else are allowed to practice their faith here. And nobody, some people occasionally will spit on a Christian, and I think that's reprehensible and horrible. Every time it happens, I think that it's not cool. The people who do this think they are carrying out the will of God. I disagree, but that's just me. So what do I think? I think that if they are here working, doing their thing, peacefully and honorably, good for them. May it continue, Just live and let live. Live and let live. That's what I'm saying. Do you bow to Jesus? Blue Nova asks. No, I do not. If he is actually the king of Israel, then I would bow down to the king. But no, he's dead, so he's not the king of Israel, and I don't bow down to the dead. Do you speak Hebrew? Is it like Arabic? Ken, אני מדבר עברית. I do speak Hebrew. It's like Arabic in the sense that Hebrew, Aramaic, and Arabic are sister languages. In some ways, it's more like Aramaic. In some ways, it's more like Arabic. But I studied spoken Arabic for a short time, and I want to go back to studying it at some point. It's a beautiful language. I would love to know it more. So I like Arabic, but I don't speak it. And it's a very interesting tension, because on the one hand, it's the language of the enemy, the people who are attacking us constantly. On the other hand, I think it's a beautiful language. So there's that tension there. You Jews can't build the third temple, you're too lazy. Well, if we would build it, it would be on top of the Mosque of Omar, right? The Golden Dome, the Dome of the Rock, right? That whole thing. And that would probably incite some kind of world war, and rightly so. It's a religious war. It's a spiritual war that we're fighting. It's not about the territory, and it's not about land, and it's not about any of that. It's a religious war in its essence, a spiritual war in its essence, an ideological war, and it's not about land. And Israel has proven that many times over when it gave land for peace and got the sword. So, too lazy, perhaps. But then again, there are some Jews who say, no, the temple is supposed to come down from the heavens, to come down already built. I don't quite subscribe to that idea. It's written in the Talmud as a commentary, if I'm not mistaken, by Rashi or Tosfot, but that opinion does exist nonetheless, so we'll have to wait and see. But no, I don't think it's out of laziness. Yeah, dude, says Film, keep carrying the light, ignore the noise. Well, I don't presume to be a light carrier or a light bearer. I'm just here spitting, the things the way that I see them. I just call it like I see it. I'm very, very, by all means, call me out, tell me how I'm wrong, tell me how I'm ignorant, and make a case and make a good argument, and I will definitely consider it. There are some things where I'm blind and willfully ignorant, but in most cases, on many issues, I have an open mind, definitely. And if you're here a regular in the chat and you know this live stream, you know that I stand behind that. That rude as shit, says, don't you wish you knew? I do wish I knew, and I seek to gain more knowledge in time, and it's part of why I'm doing this. Rude as shit, sorry you had to put up with that and make a video when they start rebuilding the temple so I can flee, LOL. Who's to say what will happen? I'm living one day at a time here. Really, it's a place that's under a constant threat, always in a state of emergency. Technically speaking, we are still in a state of emergency. Ever since the establishment of the State of Israel, it has been, technically speaking, in a state of emergency, with certain military powers put in place, like military censorship, certain laws, certain things that will only go away when we can take away the state of emergency. And I long for the day when war and bloodshed will be taken away from the world. May it happen even right now as I am speaking these words. No more war. We need love. We need peace. We need righteousness and justice. That's what we need more than anything. We need it like oxygen. Peep says, answer the damn argument. I'm sorry, Peep. The chat is going very rapidly. I can't see everything that's coming through. I sort of go here and there, and I take the chat as I see it. So don't think that I'm ignoring you. Don't think that I'm deliberately not answering any questions. There are too many questions to answer at this time. I do know that I do try to address, if not answer, because what do I know? I do try and address every single question that I see, and I don't ignore any question. I have never ignored any question. Okay. What's your opinion on Jewish supremacy, says Yusuf? That it's a horrible thing, and it's a horrible opinion. People who think that they are supreme and better than other people, that is vanity, and that is the utter lack of humility. And if you are going to, for whatever reason, claim supremacy, then you need to actually live up to it. Otherwise, it's just plain virtue signaling. I want no part of it. I want nothing to do with it. And I think it brings more shame on people than actual positive pride or anything positive for that matter. But there is no Jewish supremacy as far as I'm concerned, not in the least. It needs to be, right? Jews are just a nation like all the other nations. We have our task, they have theirs. We have our God, they have theirs. We have our way, they have theirs. That's how I've always seen it. And saying that we are better than others, it's like, okay, let's say that. Prove it. Have you proven it? Have you really actually proven it? There are still so many things that we need to improve on. Far be it from me to say that I'm better than anyone else, whether they are here in the chat or people in the street, whatever nation, whatever religion, whatever faith, whatever walk of life. I'm of the opinion that I'm no better than anyone else. I seek to go in humility. Humility is the key to all positive traits. Humility is the key to all positive attributes. All positive things come from humility. It is at the root, right? To know your place, to be humble. What did Kendrick say, huh? Be humble. Sit down. I am sitting down. Let's continue. The Talmud is nasty, says you fail horribly. I do fail horribly every day, but maybe sometime, someday, by the grace of God, I'll be able to be more victorious than a failure. And the master has failed more times than the student has even tried, they say. So yes, parts of the Talmud are nasty and downright insane. The thing is that it's there as a book of debate, right, and myth and lore and legend, and it was canonized. It's the oral traditions that were written down, and that wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened as a necessity, lest it all be forgotten. So the Talmud, right, and the oral law went into survival mode. Until then, it was an oral tradition that is supposed to be progressive, that is supposed to evolve with the humankind and with the people of Israel. And what's brought down in the Talmud sometimes is like an extreme argument on either side in order to bring about a consensus in the middle, because the Talmud is partly and mainly where we derive halacha, rabbinic law, from. And so in order to reach a consensus, in order to reach some kind of a mainstream rabbinic law that the masses, the people, the mob could follow, different extreme opinions were brought into the fold in order to hash out the claims, and they cite this source, they cite that source, and then halacha is derived. Halacha isn't even specified in the Talmud, only the debates are written down, and it was up to the halachic scholars later on, the Amoraim, the Savoraim, the Geonim, and not the Amoraim, those are the sages of the Talmud, the Geonim, the Savoraim, the Rishonim, the Achronim, in order to actually extract halacha from the Talmud. And when Maimonides Rambam wrote down his Mishneh Torah, he said, now nobody needs to study Mishnah or Talmud anymore. We don't need to study the oral law that was written down. Here it is, all of the halacha in a book that I have written, and now you need the 5 books of Moses and my book, which is also why he called it Mishneh Torah, right? The addendum to the Torah, so to speak. Who do you believe God was speaking with when he said, let us make man in our image? So they say that he was speaking to the angelic choirs and sort of taking permission from them, because until then they were sort of the higher entity and the crown of creation, let's say, until then. But when mankind was created, and I do believe in evolution, mind you, but maybe that's another thing, it was an idea of a spiritual and physical creature that has free will. and a spiritual and physical creature to which the Torah would later be given. And the angels were like, what? You're giving them the Shabbos? You're giving them Torah? And he says, yes. Yes, they have free will. They have a choice. They live in a physical world. Who else am I going to give it to? You guys? No. No, no, no. Angels have no free will, traditionally speaking. Lenny asks, in the modern day, do you think religion has more of a community spirit role, bringing the community together, or has religion still got that divine focus? It's both. The thing is that if you only focus on the divine, you might lose yourself in the multiplicity of divine revelation and of the different emanations and influences coming into the world. And if you have it gathered around a community, then you stick together. Then you have the physical glue, and then you have the spiritual glue. And when you have them both together, binding you in that single covenant, aiming towards the divine, you're able to be an individual, and you're able to be a collective, and together aim up. Whereas otherwise, if you only focus on the divine, that's a different story. Because let's put it this way, it's more important to be in a community with a divine focus than to be a lone gunman with a divine focus. Even though I do follow more of the latter than the former, I have a lot of experience with the former. I know the power of a congregation. I know the power of a group. I know the power of the collective. And I choose to take a step away from it, but nevertheless, I acknowledge its power, its strength. A collective, a group can accomplish what a lone human being cannot, because a human being is faulty and frail and fragile, and a human being is a sinner and fallen and all of that. We all have our hang-ups. We all have places where we miss the mark, but a collective does not. That is the power of a collective, where if one person lacks something in one area, the other person can complete it. And in doing so, there is a wholeness, a completeness, something unique about a community that a lone human being cannot achieve. On the other hand, you do lose something of the individual when you make yourself part of a community. You subordinate, let's say, part of yourself to the community, so you need to hold on to both. You need to be an individual within a community. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, wow, let's continue. Pario says, Hebrew Nazarite, Jesus loves you and he's alive. Call upon him, he will reveal himself to you. He is the new covenant. God bless you. Well, Parlo, I appreciate the good vibes. And blessings to you as well. But even if we do say that Jesus rose again, and there are precedents of people rising from the dead in the Bible, there are precedents twice of people being taken away and not even dying, right? Chanoch and Eliyahu in the Bible. But yet I say unto you, Jesus is a dead man, no more, no less. He will likely be resurrected with the rest of us when we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. Nobody's disputing that on my end. I'm not disputing that, I should say. But no, he is not anything but a righteous dead man as far as I'm concerned. So to call upon him would be to seek the dead. And the Jewish people, the Hebrew people who follow Torah, do not seek the dead. It's written there, right? Lo lidrosh el hametim. Do not seek out the dead. Since the 10th of Tevet is coming up soon, it's not coming up, it was 9 days ago. How important is this day to you? Well, I fasted. It's one of the 3 minor fasts, right, of destruction and of exile. Right? We have the fast of Gedalia, we have the 10th of Tevet, and we have the 17th of Tammuz, Gedalia being the 3rd of Tishrei. And I fast all of them, but I do believe that we need to abolish them already. Here, there's something where I'm an individual, and even though I think that the 3 minor fasts, I'm excluding the 9th of Av, that's the major fast of destruction. The 3 minor fasts, even though I think that we should not be fasting them, because the community does fast, I subordinate myself on those days to the community and go with the will of the community that says, no, despite everything that we have accomplished, despite the fact that we have a state of Israel and an army and a government and we are a sovereign nation, we must still observe the 3 minor fasts. So even though I don't think that way, and maybe at some point I'll stop fasting, I have for many, many years, even though I've thought that we should abolish the 3 minor fasts and only keep Yom Kippur and the 9th of Av. Yom Kippur is a happy fast, by the way. It's a fast of celebration and of love and of unity. But the 9th of Av still does exist. It is the destruction of both temples and so on. A few other things happened on that day. So I fasted on the 10th of Tevet. I fasted and I made it. And even though, right, like I do every year, it's a day of tshuva, right? A fast day is a means to an end. The idea is not simply to fast. The idea is to fast and to have it manifest something inside of you. When you abstain from food and drink, you're able to create a vessel where they would otherwise be inserted and bring spirituality into that vessel, right? And when you lessen your blood and when you lessen your fat, By fasting that day, it's as if you have sacrificed that blood and that fat on the altar, as it were, which gives us like an additional spiritual value to the day. Which means that the Torah portion we read and the Haftarah, the prophets portion that we read on that day, speaks of tshuva, speaks of keeping the covenant. So the 10th of Tevet happened, and I did fast, and this is precisely what I'm talking about. See, with the individual and the people. Have you had encounters with God? Well, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. I have had many encounters with the divine revelation on many different levels. And yes, maybe he spoke to you, or maybe through prophecy. Well, Carla Diaz, nice to see you. And yes, I believe that God has spoken to me on occasion, whether it was through messengers or whether it was through more of a divine revelation that is almost devoid of any kind of intermediary, but there has always been an intermediary. I want to make that very, very clear. Because a man cannot see God and live, right? All we see is divine revelation. But yes, I have been, thankfully, I have been privy to such encounters. I relish them and I cherish them whenever they do arrive. But I see the divine revelation even manifesting right now when I'm sitting here in Jerusalem speaking to you good people with a cup of tea on a Thursday morning. And I see it happen through dreams, and I see it happen through Torah and through meditation and through encounters, with my woman and with my kids, and I see it everywhere. I really, really do. Why use chicken to remove your sins, says the Guffey. Well, it's not to remove your sins. It's a symbolic gesture. It doesn't actually remove the sins. What removes the sin is people who do the kaparot with a chicken. I do it with coins of money, right? And I give it to charity. People who do that with the chicken slaughter the chicken and give the chicken to people who have no food or less food, right, to the less fortunate. That is the real kapara. That is the real atonement. That is the real removal of sin, if you will, right? It's when you do a good deed. And it's not that it cancels each other out. Not quite. Atoning means that you make room for the good, right? You make that vessel for the benevolent forces to manifest themselves in the world. And how do you expel the darkness? With light. So it's not that you physically do something, right? No, by virtue of lighting a single candle, you can expel a lot of the darkness. In the very same way, when you seek to atone, when you give to charity, and you do a good deed, you aim with your mouth and your heart and your mind to remove, let's say, sins from within you and without you, then you can build that vessel, right? That physical vessel, and right, giving to charity is a physical thing, and then the spiritual substance can be poured into you in earnest, and in doing so, tip the scale towards the good. But I'm vegan, so I don't do the chicken thing. I never did do the chicken thing, even when I wasn't vegan. Now, certainly I don't do it. But that's why people do it, because they do it before Yom Kippur, and Yom Kippur, famously the Holiday of Atonement, very famously, right, one goat was sacrificed to Adonai at the temple, and one goat was sent out to the wilderness, to Azazel, to the desert, to the cliff, and it carried, so to speak, all of the sins of the people of Israel symbolically, and there was atonement. Arabs look just like this guy. Yes, Arabs from Arabia, and others, I suppose, right, who have that genetic code, do look like me. I am Middle Eastern. This is where I come from. This is where my people come from. We are Middle Eastern. Obviously, they will look like me. We share certain things, certain genetic properties to some degree. Pirates is real Israeli, but Jewish as religion is different. Who is Sohion also, guys? I don't know what that means, sorry. You're full of shit, says Blue Nova. Yes, I am. I'm full of shit. At some point, I'll go to the bathroom and extricate the shit from my bowels, and then more shit will come. That is the way of biology in the human being. That's the way it works. Subhuman. Well, like I said, I'm about humility. Humility is the key to all positive things and to all good personality attributes. So I do believe that there are human beings who are better than me, and in that case, yes, I am subhuman. And if thinking that I am subhuman, what did David say in the Psalms? I am a worm and not a man. So I say the same thing. I am a worm and not a man. I am an animal. I am subhuman. Blah! Whatever makes you feel good. Get all the bile out. Get all of the hate, all of the malevolence out of you. Maybe some good will be able to enter. So by all means, keep blah, blah, blahing in the chat. Keep spreading wickedness. Keep spreading hate. Keep spreading evil. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to get it out of you so something good can replace it. But you coming on to some rando's chat and spewing evil says a lot more about you than it does about me. Shit comes after tea, says Matthew, not before. Well, here I go. It's a-comin'. What was the most recent long-held belief that you've decided to drop or refine? And what replaced it? Ooh, good question. I would have to think about it. I suppose the most recent, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I wouldn't want to just talk out of my ass and say something that was untrue. So Matthew, I know you're a regular here already, and I deeply appreciate all of you people, those watching now, those watching later, the subs, the likes, the views, the comments, the chats, the haters, the lovers, the ones who tell me to go kill myself. I love it. I eat it all up, and I'm really, really appreciative. But hit me up again in the chat, Matthew, and I will have an answer. But I don't know off the top of my head, and I wouldn't want to just say something for the sake of saying something. I want to give you guys 110%, not more, not less. Maybe more, but definitely not less. But that's a really good question. I'll have to think about that. I really, really will. The meth got our boy, says William Bunn, shaking my head. Hey, feel free to shake your head. Wait, I'll do it too, watch. Shaking my head there. So yeah, meth. No, I've never done meth. I think from what I've seen, it's a horrible drug. Really, really horrible. And I wouldn't want to touch meth with a 10-foot pole. Not meth. With a 10-foot pole, not meth. With a 10-foot pole. Last time I checked, I didn't do no meth. I didn't do the meth. Okay, let's continue. You rock the pirate gear well. Says, hey, Meish Ariel, my fellow Nazarite Meish Ariel is here. Hey, Meish, you haven't been posting or live streaming lately. I hope things are okay. Are you on your way to California? Are you on your way? Are you back in California? Tell me what's going on. Let me know if I miss you in the chat. Let me know in the DMs. Incidentally, if you people want to engage further, I'm always up for a chat in the DM if, time allowing. Hebrew Nazarite across the board on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, and here, look for the tree. And I don't post there, but I do like the DMs, which is why I have those accounts. So hit me up if you want. Simon once again speaks and says, I don't want to spread no hates, nothing. But at the same time, I don't want to be deceived, because sometimes the devils come to you wearing an angel. What is the time to use the brain and the heart? All right, I agree that you not wanting to be deceived is good, which is why discernment is very, very, very well advised, right? Caution and discernment. Definitely, definitely. Bad Jew! Yes, I am. I am a bad Jew. Come over here and spank me. Well, no, don't spank me. Only certain people can spank me. But yeah, call me a bad Jew. I'm definitely a bad Jew. I do many bad things. I seek to do good things, and in doing so, lessen the bad things. That's the way that it goes. Self-loving Jew, says Jay Farber. Well, the comedian, what's his face? What's his name? It escapes me right now. There's a comedian, right? Self-loving Jew. That's his shtick lately. I'll remember his name. Troy the King says selective reading. It's selective in the sense of what my eye catches is what I go with. The chat is moving very rapidly, and I can't answer every single thing that comes in or address every comment that is made. Sorry, you may think that I'm being selective, but I'm only selective in the sense that I turn my head to the laptop, I see a question, and I address it. Nothing else. I guarantee you that that's what I'm doing. I don't shy away from difficult questions. I don't shy away from things that challenge me. That's part of what I'm here for. Okay. What's your opinion on the genocide in Palestine? That there is no genocide in Palestine, because the genocide is against the Jews. This is proven systematically throughout the generations, and even right now at this war. Our charter does not say that we want to exterminate all of the Gazans. However, the Gazans' charter, Hamas charter, does say that everything will be Islam, which means that we are given a choice of convert or die. That is the way of Islam in the Middle East. Can't speak for other places, but that is the way of Islam here in the Middle East. Convert or die. And their charter says that from the water to the water, Islam will rule the region. And they have made it very, very clear that the Jews are persona non grata. Many other nations and countries have done the same thing over time, and are currently doing so as well. But no, the genocide is being against the Jews. If you look at all of the, right, Hamas is putting their non-combatants and their innocent men, women, and children as cannon fodder. They're putting it in front of their military, in front of their freedom fighters, in order to maximize civilian casualties. for the purposes of propaganda and crying victim. If they were actually seeking peace, if they were actually seeking not even peace, but to protect their population and avoid the genocide. Genocide needs intent, by the way, and there's no such intent, technically speaking. It's not a genocide, nor is it practically speaking. But if Hamas was actually interested in minimizing civilian casualties, they would have used the billions and millions of dollars in aid to build bomb shelters and to make safe their population, but they didn't. They invested it in war and terrorism and bloodshed on the backs of their own oppressed people, which they rule with an iron fist. That is the way it actually goes down. And if you think that's not the case, by all means, come here and see for yourself that that is precisely what they are doing for those precise reasons, nothing else. That's the way that it goes. And I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's not a question of propaganda. I'm willing to admit that everything that I see or hear, but as far as the news is concerned, is already hasbara and propaganda of some kind, with some sort of agenda built in, right into it. But I've seen certain things with my own eyes, so you can't tell me that that's a lie. What do you mean when you say Jesus is dead? I mean, he's physically, literally dead in the ground. Could you expand on how Jewish people view Jesus in comparison to Christians? Well, as far as I know, hey, Dev Coffee, nice to see you again. As far as I know, certain Christians think that he is currently the living Messiah. We don't. I believe that if he was a Messiah, his reign ended when he died. If he was an anointed one, a king, his reign ended when he died. Also, they think that he is a son of God or a part of God, the Trinity and whatnot. Some Christians anyway, and I don't believe that at all. I don't subscribe to any of that. God is revealed in many ways, but God is unique and one single alone creator, and there are no different facets of God. There are revelations of God, infinite ones, primarily the 10 Sfirot, the tree of life, right? However, that is only, right, that's why I say that I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. It's all about the revelation, the emanations, the influence, the garments and the clothes in which the Creator clothes him and herself in order to be seen, in order to be perceived by the human being. But the rule of thumb basically is, if I can perceive it, speak of it, sense it, with any kind of sense, be it physical, metaphysical, spiritual, whatever plane of existence, if God exists there, it is already technically, actually not God, but only a revelation of God. And as such, I will never know the Creator fully, because I am the creation. But what I can know is the attributes of the Most High, the garments and the clothing and the revelations of the Most High, and in doing so, get to know the Most High in some way or another. So it depends on the individual and how they perceive it. Let's continue. Well, shiver me timbers, we got a wise guy here. Yes, I am. I'm a wise guy. I don't have wisdom, but I am a wise guy. I'm also a wise ass, and I'm a dumb ass. I'm a hard ass, and I'm just an ass. He's literally yapping about Jesus right now. Yes, I am. Because someone asked me about Jesus, so I'm yapping about him. Why, I'll yap about whatever you want me to yap, basically. Basically, yeah. Genuine question. Oh, wait, the chat jumped. The chat jumped. Sorry. Okay. I don't know what happened. But I know what happened. The chat jumped and I missed. I started to read something and the chat went whoop, and now I lost it. You talk too much. Yes, I definitely talk too much. Super Sally, Super Slay, Super Say, and OS. Yes, I do talk too much. Unfortunately for you, you're here right along with me, so by all means, away with you if you don't want to listen to me talk. And believe me, I have the utmost sympathy if that's how you feel. Then you are welcome to go to another stream, go to another video, things that will make you better and wiser and won't waste your time like I am, because, not everybody connects to the things that I'm spitting here, nor maybe anybody should. I'm not telling anybody they should listen to me. I'm not telling anybody they should follow me, do as I say, do as I do what I tell you to do. None of that. It's truly none of that. Okay, slippery Jew. Yes, I am. I am a slippery Jew. Repent, JKJK says. Yes, I am trying to repent. Truly I am. It doesn't work 100% of the time, since there are part of me, right? I still have an evil inclination. I still have parts of me that are ego, pride, vanity, lack of humility, and everything that all exists within me. The enemy is within, the enemy is without. But I'm doing what I can, right? Following the Torah and the commandments in order to, in time, shed more light than darkness, and in doing so, expel that darkness. And I hope to reach a place where I'll be able to do that and manifest the image of God in which I am created, much like the rest of us. You're pretty funny, says Rebecca. Do you ever think about doing a TED Talk or a stand-up special? Funnily enough, stand-up is something where I'll need to write down the jokes, and I like the spontaneity. I love the spontaneity, so something might be lost there. As for a TED Talk, I don't know. I've never been invited, and so I haven't done a TED Talk, but I've been doing this. I have given a lecture or two in Israel on the Nazarite vow. Only a handful of people attended. I was invited to speak of it, but obviously because it's the Nazarite ship, and most people are not even aware that the Nazarite ship still exists, only a handful of people showed up. I don't even know if they were into it or not. It was years ago. I wasn't. So yeah, that's where that is. You're not funny enough for comedy or smart enough for TED. Oh, I agree, Leon. I'm not funny enough for comedy or smart enough for TED. Now, I am a screenwriter by trade, though I don't work in it right now. And I have written a couple of comedies, short film and full-length feature. Maybe at some point they will be produced, and then you'll be able to judge on the big screen or the small screen how funny or not funny I am. But I do love comedy. I love humor. It's a way to go through life. Without humor, we're just doomed to misery and suffering. And you gotta laugh. You truly, truly have to laugh. Not everybody is into that, but that's how I roll. Genuine question. Oh, there it is. Mixed by Constantine. Why do you reject Jesus? Well, once again, because he's a dead man, and I don't follow the dead. But I do say that if I were around at the time, I probably would have followed him and called him rabbi myself. I would have been happy to call him master, follow in his footsteps. But once he's dead, he's dead. That's it. His wisdom and his teachings definitely can still carry on. But he himself is not a Messiah, not a king, not a son of God, not a Lord or Savior or any of the titles. He's simply a dead man, no more, no less. A righteous dead man, perhaps, but a dead man nonetheless. And that is why Jews reject Jesus. Basically, I'm not speaking for all Jews here, but that's basically it. Yes, he came back from the dead. I agree. People say he came back from the dead after 3 days, and I say, fair enough. There is the idea of resurrection in the Bible. There is the precedent of people being resurrected. However, we do not follow them as teachers or masters or kings or anointed ones of any kind, nor do we call them Son of God in the sense that it's God's Son. So no. In that sense, I utterly and wholly reject Jesus. But the teachings that in the gospel, I'll reread that at some point. I think there's a lot of wisdom there. I do. Who else rose from the dead? Elijah brought someone back from the dead. Elisha brought someone back from the dead while he was living, and he brought someone back from the dead with his bones. If you read in the books of the prophets, you'll be able to see the book of Kings primarily. You'll be able to see people who came back from the dead. Also, there were two people, Hanoch and Eliyahu, who were taken away and given an angelic form, if you will, for a time, temporarily, and did not even die. So there is that precedent in the Bible. And those who say that it was only Jesus are sorely mistaken. So even though the precedent does exist, and I willfully admit that, because it's in the Bible, even if I take it as myth and fairy tale and legend, it's still there in the Bible, so there is a precedent, which means that there is also a precedent for someone rising after 3 days. It does not make him special in any way, shape, or form. Not in the least. He is a dead man. So yeah. You're cute, will you marry me? Sorry, I'm already taken. I've been with my woman for over 20 years. I've known her since I was 16 years old. Nobody will ever be able to replace her. She is my person, and I'm deeply infatuated with her even after all these years. So sorry I can't marry you. I made a promise to her under the chuppah that I will not take another woman or other women so long as she lives. Yeah, so that's where I stand. But I appreciate the good vibes. Hey, there she is. Nami is here. Hello. She's my woman. Hey, woman. Love you. It's me. Yes, it is. Nami61. That is my woman. Isn't she a doll? I am visiting Tel Aviv, says King Hot Dog Pig. Ooh, like a hot dog made of pig, of pork? And just brought the game of Sea Thieves. I don't know the game of Thieves. Do you play that game? I love that game. No, I don't know Sea of Thieves. I don't. Is it a board game? Is it a card game? Is it a ball game? What kind of game is it? What do you think of Buddhism, says the collaborators? Well, I'm a fan of some of the teachings. Buddha is not a god, right? Which is also what I like about it. Or is he seen as an avatar of the creator? One of those things. But Buddha was a king, right? Prince Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. Buddha means enlightened one. Or is that Bodhi? Bodhi is enlightened one. Buddha is, well, I don't recall. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant. I don't recall the difference. But I think that Buddha had a lot of amazing things to say, truly amazing. A lot of them, or at least some of them that I've written, align perfectly with the Hebrew faith and with the Torah, only that I give the Hebrew spin on it, right? So I take it as wisdom, but not as faith. So I don't know what to say about Buddhism, because I know that people bow down to a statue of Buddha, to a likeness of Buddha, and in that sense, the Hebrew man or woman cannot do that, because we don't bow down to likenesses or graven images or whatever, and we don't see them as deities or incarnations of God in the flesh. But definitely, what a story, right? What a story, to achieve nirvana and then choose not to stay there, but to come back and teach, right? That is an amazing decision, truly an amazing decision, right? So there are two kinds of righteous people, basically, in the Hebrew faith. There are some righteous people who are loners, right? Gurus on top of mountains, if you will. And there are the ones who go down into the nasty, funky stank of the earth, and who go out to the people and to the mob and to the masses and to teach. And sometimes they go back and forth between the two. So that's what I think of Buddha. I cannot truly speak of Buddhism. Nami, poor girl. Yes, she is a poor girl. I mistreat her horribly, but like I said, I'm trying to do better. Muhammad says, why no prophet after Moses? What are you talking about? There have been endless amounts of prophets after Moses. The idea is that Moses is known as the father of prophets, meaning that there were prophets before Moses and many prophets after Moses. Obviously, the Bible says so. Avram is called a prophet in the book of Genesis. Later people, right afterwards, in the first temple, are called prophets, and that's way after Moses died. But Moses is seen as the father of prophets, existing and pre-existing, and the ones who existed after, because his revelation was of a higher sort, whereas the other prophets had lower revelations of varying degrees. And so even though prophecy does have different ways of manifesting itself in the human being, Moses is the father of prophets because he took it in a higher revelation, a unique revelation specific to him, let's say, as the great bridge, as the lawgiver, right? Somebody who connects that physical and the spiritual to such a degree that he went out and he married and he had kids and he killed a guy, but then he decided to send away his woman and his kids and live that life of abstinence. So he had the physical and the spiritual within him, right? Choosing this life and then that life, so to speak. And that's why he's known as the father of prophets, because of the height of his particular revelation. But his revelation corresponds to the human being, right? The higher man, the lower man. So all of the other prophets before and after, they speak from a lower man, if you will, revelation, whereas Moses spoke from a higher revelation, which is why he's known as the father of prophets. But definitely there were many prophets after Moses, for sure. Wow, I didn't know that Jews believe that. Yeah, I mean, Nabi Musa was a prophet, but he's known as the father of prophets. Many prophets existed before, many prophets exist later. Traditionally, the spirit of prophecy was taken away from the people of Israel at the destruction or around the destruction of the Second Temple, nigh 2,000 years ago. However, the spirit of prophecy is still alive and kicking. It was given to children and to fools and to others. By fools, I mean people who are kind of not neurotypical, let's put it that way. So, prophecy can still manifest, and it still is being manifested, but not quite yet in the ways of old. But it will be. It's making a comeback right now. You know, Rabbi David Kohen, the Nazarite rabbi of Jerusalem, who died in the early 70s, he said that the Nazariteship is a stepping stone to prophecy, right? And he was sort of going with the verse from the prophet Amos, who said that God had brought up prophets and Nazarites for the people of Israel, and the people told the prophets not to prophesy, and the Nazarites they made drink wine. And so he says that the Nazariteship is a stepping stone to prophecy. He goes on to say that if only he came into this world to make the name of Nazarite known once again, it would have been worth it. And I go with that wholeheartedly. Can I donate money to you, says LP? No, unfortunately. I'm actually, check out my posts in the channel. I'm being monetized, or I'm being eligible for monetization this week. And the question is, I'm running a poll. Do I monetize and give it all to charity, or do I not monetize at all? But that's it. I'm not going to keep any of it. So even if you donate to the channel, if it does become monetized, I plan on giving all of the charity, all of the money that the channel makes from ad revenue and whatnot, from super chats and super thanks or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not monetized, but I choose to give all of that to charity. I don't want to make a shekel from the ads on this. If any brand deals or whatever come my way, I'll have to tackle it if that ever happens. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I did say a long time ago, and I stand behind it, that if I ever make any money from this channel as far as YouTube is concerned, and not external brands or voices or noises, then I will be giving it all to charity. So check out the post on my channel. That is an ongoing poll. Right now, 33 people have voted. Not a lot of people, but it's still a sample of the community. And it's now 70-something percent monetize and give to charity, 20-something percent don't monetize at all. So it seems I'm going to become eligible this week. You people with your kindness and your views are pushing me past the 4,000 watch hours point, which means that I'll be able to be monetized and have ads and super chats and whatever. And I would love to, at some point, maybe have this be a day job, but the YouTube channel itself, I wanted not to make a shekel from it. So anything that comes my way, I want to give to charity. So you can't donate to me right now, but I'll tell you, whatever it is that you had in your mind that you wanted to donate, take it right now. Don't wait for the channel to be monetized or not. Today, do it today, like right now. Get off the chat as far as I'm concerned and do it right now, because if a good deed comes your way, you don't want to miss it. So please, I love it that you're here, but go open another tab, give to whatever charity of your liking, whatever donation you wanted to give to me, will be it $2 or $5 or no bucks or whatever. Give it to charity. That's what I would want to happen anyway. Likewise, anyone else, if you want to donate to the channel, donate to charity, and if it's monetized, you will know. And then I hope that I will be able to make it as transparent as possible, show you receipts, after a time, because sometimes receipts show up after 30 days or 90 days or whatever. I don't even know how the monetization works or if I'll be eligible or if it'll make any money, but I would want to give it all to charity. Do you not believe in the New Testament? No, I don't believe in the New Testament as a holy and sacred text to the Jewish people. I believe there's wisdom to be derived from it, but certainly not faith. So I believe that it has wisdom, but not religion or faith as far as I'm concerned. What tribe are you from? I am traditionally from the tribe of Levi. I am a Levite, but our family tree goes back way, way into hallowed antiquity. But since I don't know this for a fact, and it's only tradition, I can't say 100% that that's what I am, but that is the tradition of my family. We are Levites of the family of Kehat, which is the family of Moses and Aaron, the family of Samuel, the prophet. So they are my kin. Read the Bible, Christians. Do you mean read the Christian Bible? Because I have, only the once, but I have. The Bible says Gentiles for a reason. Yes, it says Gentiles to differentiate other nations from the nations of Israel, from the nations and tribes of Israel, because we have our path and they have theirs. That's why it's used as a differentiating marker, right? The circumcision is another way. The kashrut, right? The kosher laws, dietary laws is another way. The fact that we say the name of God in a certain way but not in another way is also a mark of our separation, right? We have the different tribes and each have their path. We have kings and priests and Nazarites and prophets, and they each have their own path within the tribes. So, that's what I'm saying. Oh, this is such good tea. If you are a Levite, can you only marry a Levite? No, I can marry anybody from the Hebrew tribes, and that's what I have done. The woman I married is from the tribe of Judah, most likely. So, no. If you're a Levite, you marry among the tribes, and that's that. If you could change, asks Lenny, one dynamic of society, what would you change first and why? What do you think the biggest flaw is in our society? What is causing our society the biggest damage? Well, I'm just one simple dumbass in the Middle East. That's above my pay grade. That's above my pay grade. I'm too ignorant to tackle such a question on the level of the society. But I think that off the top of my head, right? If I could change one dynamic, it would be honesty, right? Honesty, I think, is what we need more than anything, because when people speak the truth, or at the very least abstain from speaking falsehood and lies, that already creates such a vessel and builds such a bridge of trust between people that they can make peace and find common ground within. And many things that go on in society is about division and infighting, in groups and out groups, and tribalism, and everything that's happening there that separate us from one another as a people, as a nation, as a global humanity. We are too focused on all the ways in which we are different from one another, instead of focusing on the ways in which we are alike. Be it our root in the image of God, or be it in the way that many of us simply want peace and to raise our families in prosperity and to thrive rather than just merely survive. We were meant for more than this, right? Human beings were meant to do something more than this. As individuals, we each have a certain gift to give to the world, as it says in The Way of the Superior Man, right? David Deda's amazing book. So I'm all about that. Give your gift to the world. Find what it is and try and do it in earnest. Because there's only one you. There's no one else who can be who you are. There's no one else who can do what you do. Figure out what you're truly put here on this earth for. What is your purpose? What is your dharma, if you will? And go with it and roll with it. And by all means, integrate into society. Do what you need to survive. But don't stay on the level of survival. We're not here simply to survive. We are here to thrive. Truly, to magnify the spiritual and the physical alike and bring unity between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So I don't know what the biggest flaw is, far be it from me to say, nor would I would change people to be more honest and less disingenuine. That's what I would do. But I have no idea. Does one's name reflect purpose? Yehoshua asks. It can, because at least in the Hebrew faith, when we are given a name or a few names, it bespeaks our essence. Which is why certain people, if they're having a tough time in life, they'll, let's say, go to a Kabbalist, and the Kabbalist will say, take away a letter, or add a letter, or change your name altogether because you're not aligned with your purpose. So you could say, right, what's in a name? A rose by any other name would smell as sweet, right? Like the bard said. But yes, it does bespeak a certain essence, a certain purpose, and it does reflect that to some degree, but it's still only a name. And much like the divine has many names, but it's not truly the divine, and it's only a name that we use, in the very same way, you can be named all kinds of things, and still it won't truly reflect you to the highest degree. And if you see some sort of a discrepancy between your name and who you are, I would say go with who you are, and don't let your name dictate what it is you ought to do. Don't let your name dictate your purpose. But if you do find an alignment there between your name and your purpose, more power to you, and I can see how that can be of great benefit because your name is something you carry with you. But we are known by different names, right? There's your given name, and there are nicknames, and there are different names that you acquire, different hats that we all wear throughout life, right? Me, I'm a father, and I'm a brother, and I'm a husband, and I'm many, many different hats, right? And that continues with what Shakespeare said, right? That the world is a stage, and the men and women are merely players. They have their entrances and their exits, and at one time a person plays many roles. I'm paraphrasing, but it really is about that. Are there Breslev brothers well known there? The Breslev brothers? Well, there's the Breslev Hasidic sect. Very well known, of course. They play music in public. Oh, yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them many times walking through the city in Jerusalem. Yes, that's right. I've actually seen them perform Shine On You Crazy Diamond live. It is great. Ironic, as the video says, uncut version. Well, uncut. Yes, I don't know if I stayed for the whole thing. I was probably going somewhere at the time, but whenever I see them, and I do see them a little bit, here and there, when they're playing in the city, I'll stop and I'll listen, even if it's only for a few seconds, because man, they can wail. Truly, they can. It is not the eyes that are blind, but the hearts within the chest, says Reflex. Well, I think it can be both. Consider the fact that in Eden we had two sets of eyes. There was the eyes with which Eve, Chava, looked on the fruit, right, and on the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And then there was the eyes that were opened after they partook of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. We have two sets of eyes, right? We have more spiritual, metaphysical eyes, if you will, and we have the eyes that are of flesh and blood and jelly, like I have right here. The idea is, I think, that you need to know when to look with either one or try and incorporate both of them into your life because vision, right, exists on many, many levels, and you should adopt and enhance and elevate your spiritual sight and your physical sight. Now, I know it's ironic because I'm saying that and I'm wearing glasses, but I still mean it. Jelly, yes, Mork says. Mork the Orc! So you're the Orc, but you're not from Orc? Ah, Robin Williams. Rest in peace. You gave so much joy. Nanu nanu. Do you not believe God can begotten a son, says Carla. Look, God, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. There is a revelation, let's say, that technically speaking, I suppose, can beget a son. However, first, it's never been done. Second, we are all sons and daughters of God, made in the image of God. Hang on, I've got hair in my face. So in that sense, yes, but no, not in the sense that Jesus is Son of God, because there is only one Creator. So you could say that Jesus and other people, other messiahs, other kings, other anointed ones, they managed to manifest their image of God that is unique to them to such a degree that they were able to really, really hook on and facet themselves and cleave onto a certain divine revelation in the tree of life and be associated with it, much like Avraham is associated with Chesed, and Yitzchak is associated with Gvura, and David the king is associated with Malchut the kingdom, and Moses is associated with Da'at, because they personified these divine attributes to such a degree that they are named after them, and it's like their sake. But that idea of the Son of God is not something that exists in the Hebrew faith. We are all sons and daughters of God. And so I'm going to say that if you say God can beget a son, I will say, I don't know God. But a revelation of God? No, because there is no God in the flesh. There is no God incarnate. That's in the Hebrew faith. That's right straight from the Torah. So no, I believe that even though there is an omnipotent revelation to the Most High, as far as it pertains to this world, a world of knowledge of good and evil, a world where we have fallen from the root, right, and we are making our way back up. But right now, here we are in a world of duality. What did Morpheus say? This is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. It is the truth that we seek. It is this matrix that we choose to see, right? And Neo died and came back, and then he saw the matrix in code, right? Like it truly, really is. And I believe that when we partake of death, and certainly after we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, we will be living a different kind of existence, and we will be seeing reality in a different sort of way. And in that sense, what God cannot do, a revelation of God that can do X but can't do Y, that exists only here. But truly, truly, God can do anything and everything. Here it's manifested in certain ways, and that's why there is the laws of nature. Put in effect the physical laws of nature, immutable and untouchable and unbendable and unbreakable, unless you're a black hole. But to wit, there is a black hole. There is a place in creation where the laws of physics break down completely. And in the very same way, other laws of physics can be bent, others can be broken. So in that sense, I don't believe the divine revelation in this world here begets a son that is a part of actual God that is not part of a revelation. I don't know if I'm making myself clear on that. Maybe it's a little too confused, but that's what I'm saying. Okay, on that note, I've been broadcasting for almost an hour and a half. Hi! And I will say thank you for listening to my rants, rambles, and raves, and blah, blah, blahs. I deeply appreciate your time, your kind and gentle attention, the likes, the subs, the views, the lovers, the haters, the trolls, the people who are trying to engage, the people who say that I need to get a haircut and shave and shower, the people who feel sorry for my beautiful bride, the people who say I don't know what I'm talking about, the people who say I'm an embarrassment to the Jews, the people who say I'm an embarrassment to the human race, the people who say I'm an embarrassment to piracy at large, and that I do not merit to wear this hat, if any of them were in the chat. Thank you. I deeply appreciate your engagement, positive, negative. It's all the same thing in the chat. It all goes back to that one root, right, of trying to have some value, some entertainment, and I do hope that the time spent here with me was of some value and of some entertainment. By all means, stick around. I go live frequently. I try to do it almost every day. Sometimes I miss a day. Sometimes I miss a few days. I don't know. But I love it. It enlivens me. It enriches me. It nourishes me. I get so much out of these engagements. You keep me sharp. You keep me on my toes. You challenge me. You make me that much wiser, which makes me a little less dumb, stupid, and ignorant with every live stream. And for that, I thank you. Until next time, have a wonderful day, night, evening, afternoon, whoever you are, wherever you are. Be blessed. Be a blessing. Be the light in someone else's life. Be the light in many other people's lives. It can do more than you know. So throw that pebble into the pond and watch the ripple effects take shape and form around you. Goodbye from Jerusalem. This has been so lovely. I thank you. Have a great day. Cheers.